Alright guys, TouchCribbit here again today, and you know what it is. We're going to be talking about Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I'm already confused before we even hop into this video. The reveal is supposed to be on the 30th of May. Syndicate talked about it in a video a while ago, and it has since been, well, talked about a little bit more on Twitter, that the reveal apparently is going to be on the 30th of May, which is just in a few days' time. So I thought it'd be a good time to talk about a wish list for this game, because usually in the reveal, we at least see something to do with what's going on. At least, you know, we'll get, I guess, confirmation if it's boots on the ground, which I'd be incredibly surprised if it isn't. And then we might see a few guns or like a map or two that are coming back. And of course, usually the reveal trailer, I guess, comes a lot earlier in the year than we have here. Usually at this time of the year, we've got a pretty damn good idea what's going on, all things considered. So maybe this reveal trailer or whatever it's going to be exactly on the 30th will be a little bit more in depth than we're used to. So maybe we'll get a lot of things, well, okay, we can hope, I guess, coming out about Call of Duty 2019 that we weren't aware of before. So I thought this would be a good time to talk about it. Some things that obviously the community would like to come back, and some leading members of the community, what they think about it. Of course, I'm going to be going through a supposed leak, which didn't actually turn out, as far as we're aware, to be legit, but some pros were talking about it and corroborating that they'd like to see a lot of these things come back into the game. So we'll go through that and all that good stuff. And I'm sure you'll leave your thoughts down below what your most important factors are for this game that you'd like to see to try and make it the best Call of Duty it can possibly be, because first year of franchising, it's got to be a good game. Of course, very confusing. Let me just try and explain real quick what's going on with the name scenario here. Now, it hasn't been confirmed yet whether it's just going to be called Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but it seems pretty likely. This guy Jason Schreier over at Kotaku, he's revealed a lot of other accurate information in the past, and there's also been some guy at Infinity Ward, I forget his name, it's the guy who said FU Last Stand a while ago, I forget his name exactly. He was wearing a t-shirt with Call of Duty MW, and he had the 3 or whatever was on the t-shirt, he had that crossed out, so it was just Call of Duty MW, kind of implying it's just called Call of Duty Modern Warfare this year. So, of course, very confusing to those guys who may not have heard about this before. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the original CoD 4 Modern Warfare, came out in 2007. Then we had CoD 4 Remastered that came out in 2016 alongside Infinite Warfare, also made by Infinity Ward, but Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered was made like by Raven, I think. And now we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So it wouldn't be so bad if the Modern Warfare Remastered was not just called Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, because now it looks like they've already remastered the game 3 years before it's going to come out, which obviously is very confusing. But what this is going to be, supposedly according to Jason Schreier, is a soft reboot, from what Brandon Mario Fan 1981 says right here. Now, a soft reboot implies that the characters should stay approximately the same, but it'll be different storylines. We'll probably have maybe it'll be like a best of kind of thing with the previous games, the best of the maps, the best of the weapons or whatever will come back. And obviously, I guess we can hope for that. And it will have a campaign, supposedly, so we can go through that today. So yeah, like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. Already a fair few minutes into the video here at this point, but I'll say it anyway, because why the hell not? Liking is, as I've said before, the best thing you can do to help any channel on YouTube. Also subscribing, all that good stuff. Let's get in with it. So, this is, let's just go through this real quick, a leak. Okay, a leak. Someone said a few days ago on Twitter, on something like the 22nd, before this stuff came out from Jason Schreier, that it's just called Call of Duty Modern Warfare, someone proposed that they had all this intel about what the game is. The way they worded the tweet was like, I can't tell you where I got this intel from, but you know, so pretty obviously fake, but I thought I'd go through this because it does bring up a few points that obviously we would like to see. So first on my wish list, obviously I'm going to be looking at it from more of a competitive stance. I do like playing public matches anyway, but a big thing for me nowadays is, I'm just going to go through a few things to start with. So competitive, in order for it to be the best, I think it should stay boots on the ground. I do not like specialists on the whole. I think that I do like specialists to some degree in theory. I think that if we had a game where all we were allowed was one player had glitch, which from Black Ops 3, one player had like psychosis, one player had overdrive, one player had like FTL jump from Infinite Warfare, and some of these less powerful specialists, I think that would be good in my opinion, because you'd add something which has a little bit of skill, has a little bit of flair to it, but it doesn't completely overtake the game. So the reason why I'm not the reason why I'm still against specialists is because I think that if they came back, they would never be in that toned down form. It would always be, powerful specialist weapons that we've seen. So on the whole, I probably have to say that I don't like them. I have made some arguments about this in the past, why I don't like specialists for competitive. My main argument is that specialist weapons, especially, that have a huge impact on the outplay of the game, it means that the game comes a lot down to individual plays, and someone going off with the Tempest or not going off with the Tempest can swing a game completely, whereas in a typical setting, obviously one individual play with a gun can swing a game, but it's more likely that one team has played better than the other team on the course of the game. Whereas when the game comes down to individual specialists when they come up, which it does a lot of the time, then it adds more elements of randomness than you would get if two teams were just going head to head without any of these particularly powerful weapons that you get. Naturally, you don't even have to earn them like you would a score streak or something like that. So I'd prefer specialists not to be in the game, as in specialist weapons. Specialist abilities I'm not too mad about, but I don't think they will come back. Of course, this guy says, maybe specialist perks will return. Some other things I would love to talk about is that I really want the league play to be good. These are my main things. Like, if you can get a great league play system, which I think we'll have to have really with franchising, I don't think they can get away with releasing it like 5 months late or whatever, like Treyarch did this year, with Activision breathing down their necks of trying to make the sponsors happy with or not the sponsors, but the franchisees happy with all the money they've invested. And also, GB integration is actually a big thing. I like to play a lot of game battles matches, and today, Black Ops 4, it's very awkward because we're back in the medieval times. I have to find the people on GBs, I have to add them as a friend, and then we have to party up in a lobby, and the lobbies are broken sometimes, and it'll drop us out of the games and all that stuff. Whereas in Infinite Warfare had it, Modern Warfare Remastered didn't, I don't think. Yeah, it was Infinite Warfare and it was World War II, had GB integration, which was absolutely fantastic. For those guys who don't play GBs, you could simply post a game on the GB ladder on the Game Battles website, and then it would let you join into a lobby, and the other players would be able to join the same lobby. You wouldn't have to add them as a friend. It was unbelievably easy. It would set the game up for you. It already put the maps in place. Absolutely fantastic. And obviously the technology is there. It didn't come back in Black Ops 4. That's generally a big thing for me, because I tend to like Call of Duty no matter what, too many things. Obviously I've got preferences with no specialists, etc., but I still like CoD. It's just that the ease at which that GB integration allowed you to play games was truly superb. So those are my big things. I'm sure you guys have got some other things that you think are more important, which of course is fair enough. A campaign coming back is interesting as well. Of course, not too geared towards competitive, but this year we had no campaign in Black Ops 4. It would be nice to have a campaign to play again, because I did kind of enjoy playing them back in the day. So whether specialist perks and streaks will return, tactical nuke returns. Okay, so just a few things here. The COD point currency system from Black Ops 1 would be lovely to have. Remember, COD points back in the day didn't used to be what you could buy stuff with. Well, you could buy stuff with them, but it wasn't microtransactions. And there also have been rumours that Call of Duty, this year's game, Call of Duty 2019, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, whatever it's going to be called exactly. Obviously, it's not going to be called 2019, but I'll just call it that to make it easier for you guys to understand, I guess. So there has been some rumours that there will be some free-to-play models going on within this game that Activision did mention have a possibility to be introduced, because CSGO has gone free-to-play. Of course, a lot of the big games right now, they have a free-to-play model and they make their money through microtransactions. So if they do go down that route, it would be a big change for Call of Duty, would be a lot of money that Activision are missing out on, because CSGO, okay, the game's like 10 quid or whatever, 10 bucks, 12 bucks, something like that, whereas Call of Duty, it's 60 bucks, like 50 quid, something along those lines. That's a lot of money for them to lose out on if they go completely free to play. So I'm not sure they'll go fully down that route. Maybe DLC is free or something like that. But as a result, it probably means that the microtransactions are going to be bumped up even further. So I wouldn't bet your money on microtransactions being backed off with for Activision. You know how these big these big publishing companies work. COD point currency system for Black Ops 1 would be very, very cool. I kind of liked it. And also, it'd be very nice if we had the combat record back from Black Ops 1, which was incredibly detailed. It could tell me, like, how far I'd like, walked while crouching with a particular weapon, or, it had all sorts of complex measurements, which is fun to look at. And the fact that technology was around in 2010 and we don't have it now is just shows how Call of Duty is going to last for years. Spec Ops might be cool. Terminal, High Rise, Rust, Dome, maps coming back. I'm sure that could be high on your guys' agenda. What maps would you like to see back in the game from the classic games? Of course, Dome is a big one. I'd like to see some CoD 4 maps as well. I think Strike, Search and Destroy, is the closest map we ever got to like a Counter-Strike map. And I always thought that map, when we played it in MWR, was pretty fantastic. Obviously, it's a very different pace to the modern Call of Duty. But a lot of those maps I'd love to see back in the game, of course. I'm sure a lot of the maps will be remastered. I'm sure a lot of people want new maps as well, though, so not too many remastered maps, I guess, would be high on the list. And as I say, this stuff isn't guaranteed to be coming back by any means. This is a leak, but I thought I'd go through this list because a lot of the pro players were looking at this thinking, wow, like this would be perfect, right? But I think it's very likely that a lot of this stuff has been plucked out of the imagination of the individual that came up with it. So no sliding and dolphin diving is an interesting one. Someone commented on yesterday's video saying that they said they hope sliding remains, and I do like sliding in theory. I like the fact that it can set your movement apart from other people. What was good about jetpacks, playing public matches especially, was that if you were good with the movement, you could destroy public match kids, and it wasn't even fair. And on a boots on the ground game, sliding allows a similar thing. Sliding around a corner, in this game, if your movement is better than the other guy, you're going to destroy him. Whereas back in the day, Black Ops 2 time, the movement differential wasn't so big. All there really was strafe jumping and maybe shoulder peeking, those sort of things. So I do like sliding, actually. And I like the way it works in Black Ops 4. I think, I don't know, on a pro level, it might be incredibly frustrating to play against and pretty broken, but in terms of a mechanic which can help you get an advantage on people that you're better than in terms of have mastered the movement, then it does add some benefits. So I'll be interested to hear what your thoughts are on that. Shot punching as well is something that came to mind just now, because back in the day, of course, you used to be able to one punch people or one knife them or whatever. I really hope it stays in the current state, or at least where you can't one punch people on the front. I think that was a fantastic addition made by Treyarch, I think in Black Ops 3. Yeah, it was Black Ops 3. So that was a great change. I know a lot of people have said that maybe they should make it so it takes 2 shots and a punch from the front, so you don't get an incredibly quick shot punch. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that. I kind of like it as it is right now. I think it adds some degree of a skill gap. So yeah, those are some things. Before we finish here, we'll go through this Reddit thread. So what would you like to see in Modern Warfare? So more content and viable maps, less microtransactions and free content. As I said, I think that latter half of that is unlikely to be the case. Of course, this comment is deeply sarcastic, but of course, we want to have great maps in the game. We want to have great guns. I don't know how many guns exactly we would like to see in the game, but probably some classic weapons mixed in with some new ones. Be nice to have the ACR back and the SCAR and these classic Modern Warfare weapons. You know, the FAMAS as well. The 3-round burst FAMAS was a fun one. Ranked play system is high up here. Predictable recoil as well is a very nice one. I really like this addition in Black Ops 4. I think this is what John Banner says about the SORG only really being viable as a result of this. The SORG, of course, does have this predictable recoil. It's not completely predictable, but it does have a pattern that it repeats often again. There's a little bit of randomness involved, but you can control it very, very well if you know what you're doing. I really, really like that. And it's better, I think, than the system from Black Ops 3 when they had, so for example, the VMP, if you used in Black Ops 3, you may have noticed that if you started hitting shots long range, your recoil drastically reduced. You had to effectively hit shots in order for the recoil to be reduced. Whereas I think in this game, there's more of an element of predictivity, which is obviously what we're looking for. So yeah, kill cam for final kill of the S&D is a small, I guess, complaint with the current games. I'm not too worried about this, but we also have the viewer's perspective from competitive, so easy to read kill feed. I think these things will have to be employed quicker than they have done this year, because Activision, as I said, will probably be breathing down the necks of the developers to make sure that the competitive community has its desired benefits, because I think Activision are seeing that with these kind of franchises, in order for it to be really long-term and successful, you need an element of competitive to make a game last the test of time. I've always thought that about esports more generally, is that if you want a game to survive long term, you need to help the competitive scene thrive. And I think maybe that's the route they're going down with franchising. And also, I think they probably recognize that our needs as a competitive community will have to be, pandered to a little bit more than they have been in the past. So yeah, DLC maps in the rotation, more than a 2-gun meta. Oh yeah, healing as well, manual healing. This is an interesting question I thought I'd have for you guys, whether you prefer manual healing to be back in the game or whether it should come back automatic. I don't mind manual healing in general. I just think that the stim shot kind of ruins this game. It doesn't punish you for making mistakes. You can overpeak something, and because you don't die immediately, because the health is quite high, you can just go back around the corner, hit the stim shot, re-peak about 1.5 seconds later, and you're already up to 100, 120 health or something like that. So that's very frustrating to play against. But overall, manual healing, I don't have a particular issue with manual healing or the high time to kill, or the low time to kill. High time to kill, low damage or whatever, relative. But I think the stim shot is the real issue. If that wasn't in the game and stim shot wasn't allowed, I think the game would honestly play a lot better competitive. It'd be a bit slower, and there'd be more opportunity to take advantage of people's mistakes. So yeah, a few other issues here. I'm sure you'll leave yours down below. No stim shot once again. Competitive maps that aren't 3 lanes, which is interesting. I think that in general, the best maps have some sort of 3-lane component. I don't like it when they stray away from this too much. I mean, you can look back at Ghosts and say that, well, public matches were horrible because we had to play on maps like Siege, Chasm, Stonehaven, but the competitive maps were generally very good. We had, like Freight, Warhawk, other classics. Sovereign and Octane as well were pretty good as well in that game. But, they weren't necessarily 3-lane at all, but it was hit or miss, because and Warhawk also was basically a 3-lane map, and Freight as well to some degree, even though both Freight and Octane were designed a little bit weirdly. Sovereign had that underground section. So, I really like those maps for Search and Destroy back in Ghosts, but most of the maps in that game were not good for competitive, and they were also designed not on a 3-lane system. So, of course, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that. A 2v2 playlist would be gorgeous. I think they had this in Modern Warfare 3, right, where you can play 2v2s, which was very fun. And I saw a lot of pros were saying that Search and Destroy really needs to come back in full force here, because Search and Destroy is the bedrock, I guess, of competitive content, and really where things kick off. If people love playing Search and Destroy, streaming Search and Destroy tournaments, that really kicks off the Twitch game, and really started guys like Nick Merks and the like back in the Black Ops 3 days was so much fun to watch. I used to watch Simp stream all the time when the S&D tournaments were popping. Nowadays, it's not the case because S&D, I don't think, plays as well as it did back then. So I think that really is the foundation to a great game for competitive, to have great Search and Destroy. And that is, I guess, one of my main hopes. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, as I'm sure you will. And yeah, I'd be greatly interested to hear. So yeah, like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time.